Hello everyone, hola, ¿cómo están? How are you? This is Lena with Especially Made for Me. We are going to be working on a breast cancer swag, a very easy one actually, so hopefully you'll like it. Before anything, if this is your first time watching any of my tutorials, if you would please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also click on that bell. It'll send you notifications when we do lives or do premieres and different things. So if you would do that for me, that would be lovely. I would appreciate it. And of course, as you're going through, if you haven't done thumbs up yet, as you're going through on the tutorial, whether you're watching here now live or watching the replay, as you learn things, like things that I'm showing you on the tips, or just if I made you laugh, anything that you like, please give me thumbs up. Let me know that you're enjoying the tutorials and I can continue to do more. So without further ado, I want to show you what we're going to be using. We're going to be using one of my signs that I've made recently for breast cancer awareness, and it says, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." I was actually trying to do some boxing gloves so I could show, some boxing. So we're gonna keep on the fight. But I didn't get to do that. So I'm gonna do a different one as well. But this is the one we're gonna be using today with our swag. And we're gonna be using a what they call a paint stick. But there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. So I'm gonna kind of, as we go, as usual, kind of give you different ways of doing it. Different things you can use and different things. So instead of using a a yardstick rather, I'm using a paint stick that's like 21 inches. And I think on the supplies I may have put 3 yards, so I'll have to change that. I just noticed that I said that out loud. I think that's exactly how I typed it on the description, but it's a yardstick, not 3 yard. So we're gonna be doing that, and I'm gonna be showing you how I actually put my stems on the stick and the different options of ways you can do that. We will be using a 21-inch Deco Mesh in a light pink. I do have, because I'm thinking I may want to add some more mesh, but I'm undecided on that. But so I want to keep it as simple as possible. But I do have a different shade of mesh in the 10-inch, which we're going to try and do without. But just as you know, if you've watched my videos before, my tutorials, I like being prepared and having a whole bunch of things on the table that we may or may not use, because I like changing things up and might decide to do something different. But I want to show you some picks that I have for breast cancer. So we're going to be using some of these, and we have lots of ribbon that we're going to be using for breast cancer in the different pinks. We have of course, the one with our hope and fight and support and woman and courage and believe, all sorts of different encouragements. We have different colors and shades. So I'm going to actually change the camera view so that you can actually see all these things I have around here. Of course, we have the ones, the small one with the ribbon, the 1 inch, 1.5 inch, and then we also have just a regular fuchsia color and different things. So I want to show you all of that. Also, if you were here with me last week, we were doing a Halloween wreath, and we used a skeleton, and I had mentioned I was going to make a sign to go with that, because I wasn't sure about putting the bats in the middle, and then I had a great suggestion from one of our viewers, Miss Monica, to maybe put it on the branches that we put on there. So this is the sign that I made for that. So I wanted to make sure I showed it, and I'm hoping to be able to get some more made over the weekend, so I could also put them on the shop for you, as well as the breast cancer awareness one. So I wanted to show you that. This one says "Creep It Real," like keeping it real, but creep it real. And then of course it's got all the little images that we have on the main ribbon that we used. So I wanted to make sure that I showed you that as well before we got started, in case you were here with us last week, so I can show you what I did. So I'm going to go ahead and change that view of the camera. You'll still be able to see me towards the corner, but the main view will be, of course, like a bird's eye view, be in the top of my table, my work table, so that you'll be able to see the project as we go along. And I'll go ahead and move the mouse out of the way, and we can get going. So this is my, I think it is 21 inch It's one of those that you can get at the Home Depot, Lowe's, and whatnot. Yep, it is 21 inches. And what I did was paint it. It painted it pink. You could use any kind of pink. I just used the lighter pink because it'll match our Deco Mesh that's over here. And then I used stems, chenille stems, pipe cleaners in the same color, because a lot of our ribbon already has the fuchsia and the darker pink and different things. So let me go ahead and put these out so you can see the ribbons I'm talking about. And we may use some of that one. Don't know. I like using variety. We'll use at least 3 of them today for the swag itself. And then we may even do a bow. We'll see how it goes, because I think with this being a smaller stick than a yardstick, we may not have enough room for both a sign and a bow. So we'll see how that goes. But these are our ribbons, and I'll kind of hold them up a little bit closer to the camera. We have them on with the pink ribbon, of course, our breast cancer awareness ribbon. We have these as well. So we'll be drawing a lot of the different pinks out of the ribbons to match, which is why I went with the light pink for the mesh itself. Okay. And then of course we have this glittery one as well. So we'll see how we do. Okay, to get started, what I did here, I want to make sure I show you what I did with, I think one of my pins just came off from one of the ribbons. To get the either your yardstick or the paint stick, the smaller paint stick ready, again, we just painted the color that you want to use to get things to get it matching the theme. And then there's a couple of things you can do here. Like for me to put the stems on, we did little holes. We did, let's see if I can, I'm going to turn it over here. We did little holes so that we can then run our chenille stems through. And I haven't even twisted them yet on the other side to keep them on there. So we'll still do a little twist just to make sure that they stay put and not come out once we put the stem. For the drill bit, it's the, I don't know what the numbers are. I'm not really that inclined with building stuff, but it's the very smallest one, whichever one that is. Getting some signals here, sorry. 1/8, I believe. So in case you do have a drill at home, maybe if you have your husband there, maybe can help you with that, to do the little holes for you. But I just call it the littlest one. It's perfect for the chenille stems. So okay, so I'm just giving it a little twist just to make sure that they stay put and they don't come out, or that they don't get pulled out even after we put our Deco Mesh on here. Okay, that's all I'm doing. And then I have a little bit of a bigger hole. Let's see if I can move these out of the way. Up here, because this is going to be our top. And I just ran the ribbon, that thin ribbon we can curl. I just ran some on there, just left it without tying it yet. And I cut it a little bit longer than I'm sure we're going to need it, just so I can make sure it was already in there by the time we did our Deco Mesh. So that is pretty much it with that. So another way you could do it, if you don't want to have to deal with drilling and measuring the holes, I just kind of did them about 4 inches apart, by the way, just like we would with when we do a swag or a wreath. And I made sure that we had some in between, so that way we can make sure that everything is spread out. It'll be nice and full. So the other way would be for you to staple it together. So you can use let me show you. Just use a regular, like a staple gun, like one of those small ones. You can get these at Home Depot even, or Lowe's. And you would just position them in place and then staple them down. Then you just kind of go down the line. So that's another way of putting the chenille stems on there, so that you can have your stick ready for your Deco Mesh. And that's pretty much it with that. So those are 2 different ways of doing that. I just went with doing the little holes because I didn't want to have to deal with the staples. And you know, then you run out, and you know, I run out anyways. So and then you wouldn't see the staples unless you get the real small ones. You don't have to worry about any staples coming through. So we're gonna go ahead and start attaching our Deco Mesh. And since we're doing a very easy swag, we're gonna go with our poof. Now you can gather your Deco Mesh just by scrunching it together, or you can have your corners and the ends meet and then squinch it however you'd like. Just gather it, and then we're gonna start at our bottom so we can come all the way around and end back on our bottom. Okay. So I am going to give this a little bit of a twist just so that our fuzzy part, if we want to call it that, can be up here and not hanging down here. And you could always just tuck it under later. I just kind of do that just to make sure I don't forget. Just tuck it out of the way when you do the next poof. So we're just gonna hold it in place and go pull the stems apart so it'll be nice and tight, and we're gonna give it a twist or two, and we're gonna make our first poof again about 4 or 5 inches, and we're gonna get to our next stems, and we're gonna make sure it's nice and secure again by pulling those in opposite directions and give it a twist. Then we're gonna open our poofs. Poof, we're gonna poof our swag. So this will be a regular size swag. It's not gonna be huge, but it's going to be pretty, and it's gonna be for a great cause. And because it's not so long, it won't take us long either. So the thing that's going to take us the longest will be doing our streamers ribbon, because we still have to cut those to the size that we prefer and put those on as well, because I didn't do any cutting prior to coming on. And we're just going to continue to do this all the way around. And then I'll show you something else I like to do when I know I have, and I even do it on the big ones, but when I have a small swag, I add a little tail at the end. So we'll see about doing that with this one. Have a little bit of a warning sign again coming through on my notifications with YouTube. So hopefully you're still able to hear me and see me okay. I know it'll disconnect. It's done that before. Hopefully that won't happen. And the more we open our poofs, the more full our swag will look. And you can use the same method with wreaths as well. So as we go along, know that you can make a wreath the same way. You just got to go all the way around your wreath form. Okay, so I made it all the way to the top part, so we're going to go ahead and go around the other side so we can go all the way around. Okay, just did that first one on the top. Now we're coming around. And this is just a regular Deco Mesh. It's not, we don't have any metallics or anything woven. My accent just kicked in. Woven in. You can use one that's multicolored, so it'll have different variety of pink. You can use metallic. Entirely up to you, depending on the look that you have or the wreath that you have. You may the Deco Mesh, I mean, that you have. So you may want to just, you know, use something you already have and not necessarily go purchase anything. You could also do two different Deco Mesh, different colors. If you have maybe the 10-inch, or if you have two 21-inch, you could always mix the colors in. I like always making sure I give you other options. Another option would be doing like what we're doing now, the poof mesh method, going all the way around, and then using the 10-inch and doing some ruffles or doing some curls. You could also do woodland ruffle, just to kind of give it more, a little bit more of the definition before putting in the ribbons or putting on the ribbons. Depends on how much time you want to put into it, and of course how many, you know, with regards to supplies, what you like to spend. But this method, it will be a quicker, easier, and of course the least expensive to make, because you won't use as much Deco Mesh, just you doing the poof. You won't use the full roll. You could probably make doing this method maybe about 3 of these, which makes it nice. Okay, up to our last one here, and then we can make our little tail that I mentioned. Okay, so for this last one, we're gonna go ahead and make another poof and end here where we started. But instead of tucking it in like we did with the other, we're gonna actually cut it a little bit longer and then expand that tail. And we could have make that other one longer and not have to tuck it in at the beginning. So that's another way of doing that. Making sure we open up our poof. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. We're at the end, so instead of cutting it right here and then having to tuck it in and figuring out what to do with it and how to make it look pretty, we can cut it a little bit longer and just expand on our swag. So here we go. And then we can shape it, since it's going to have its own tendency of curling. It'll automatically do that. But you could also shape it like a dovetail if you want to actually cut it a specific way. I'm just going to cut a straight line so that even as it curls, it won't look too crazy. Put that away. Okay. So then this can actually curl on its own, and you can shape it up however you'd like. And again, you could also cut your end a certain way if you want to give it a certain shape. And then you could add more of your streamers and different things at the end of it. Okay, so here's our top and there's our bottom. That's another way to kind of tell it apart. So from here we could actually start putting our ribbons on, and we could decide where we're going to want the sign. So, because we've got options, multiples here, so Let me get these out of the way. And we can start cutting our ribbons. Okay. Go with our standard 12-inch. I'm going to use my easy bow maker just to have that roll to make it easier for myself. I'm actually going to put it on this side, just because make it easier on myself since I'm right-handed. Why not? Okay. This is going to be our main ribbon, so I'm going to be cutting 12 pieces. And I'm doing 12 because I counted as we were, as I was checking earlier to see how many we would need. So as you put on your stems, your chenille stems or pipe cleaners, you would count, if you ever have to do any cutting, you will count how many you have. So that way you know in regards to ribbons or curls or your ruffles, anything that you're going to have to cut to size for each individual one, you would count that, and that way you know how many cuts you need ahead of time. And for dovetailing, if you haven't done that before or need to know how, all you would do is fold your ribbon in half, making sure that your ends are meeting, okay, like so. And we're going to cut diagonally across towards that corner. Okay, so basically it's going to be angled, but once you open them up, you'll be able to see your dovetail. Okay, and I'll do that again because we still have the other, excuse me, the other side of our perfect tails. Okay, so we're going to fold in half and cut diagonally towards that corner. Okay, here it is one more time. And that just gives it a more finished look, but you don't have to. If you prefer to just cut at one straight angle or leave them flat, how should I say, I guess rectangular, without cutting any shape to it, you could do that as well. It's all based on your preference. Going for our next one, so I want to make sure we add some more of this fuchsia. So in this case, we're going to do 6 of these because we have 12 to cut, but we have another ribbon we want to use. And then we're going to be alternating those 2 ribbons. So the other one I'm going to use is the one for the breast cancer ribbon. And again, if you're just joining us, we're making a breast cancer awareness swag. And we're using a paint stick. It's 21 inches. It's those wooden sticks that they give us when we buy paint at the different stores. But we have a 21-inch one. Now you could also use a 3-yard, I just said it again, a yardstick. I don't know why I keep saying 3. And do the same thing if you want something bigger, something longer. Using the same process. And we just did poofs all the way around. Now we're cutting our ribbons at 12 inches. And last one. This is our smaller one. And again, since we're alternating, we only need half as many, so we're just cutting for 6. We're going to be alternating them. Okay, dovetailing again is just folding your ribbons in half, making sure your corners meet. And then cutting diagonally towards that corner. Alrighty, so that is it for our streamers, our ribbons that we're going to be using on the swag. Okay, so we're going to be alternating. And you can start anywhere, your top or the bottom. I like making sure mine are lined up together and finding that middle. So I can scrunch it there, and then that's where I attach it onto with the stems. Okay. And you can shape them right here before you put them on, or you can shape them up after. Either way it works. You will probably still have to do some shaping after you put them on. So if you want to lean it, as we say, instead of having to do something twice, do it afterwards. Okay, just giving it a couple of spins. One thing I like to do here as well is if you have any print on your ribbon, to make sure that it's all facing in the same direction. Just a little tip there, especially if it's going to be something that we need to read. So we want to make sure that it's in a way that we'll be able to read it regardless of where it is on our swag or our wreath. Okay, when using a smaller ribbon, that one will go on top just to make sure that we don't hide it. And we could, now that I'm looking at it, you could even, since I have these other ribbons, now we have print and print, it kind of would be, and I think I might just switch that up to just have that fuchsia again along with this one. And I'll show you what I mean. To have it this way instead, so that ribbon will stand out more. And we'll just cut some more of the fuchsia, because we can. Why not, right? So let's change that up. And then we'll just cut some more. Now you can also have your ribbons facing outwards, and you could, instead of having them going in opposite directions, you could also have them go in the same direction and just alternate that. So entirely up to you. I just normally crisscross mine just because it kind of spreads the colors more in the patterns, but you can do either or. Again, there's no wrong way, in my opinion, to do this. Okay, just alternating the ribbons. You can also, if you're going to be using a sign or making a bow, you can leave a space instead of putting ribbons everywhere. You can leave a space where you're going to have that item so you won't use as many ribbons. Just a couple of different things you can do there. Okay, and I'm just again folding it to find my middle so I can scrunch it and know exactly where to put it to tie it onto or with the stem. Switch those up. Okay. Okay, don't forget, while you're here, if you're enjoying this tutorial, give me a thumbs up. If you like what you see. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Now I do have an email list if you'd like to sign up for that. I do send out periodic emails. They're not that frequent, but they do it's more for information than you know, just selling. So don't worry about that. If I don't have anything new to update you on, there won't be an email. It's mainly for updating if there's anything new going on with the shop or any vendor shows that we might be at, so in case you're able to join us live and things like that. Anything being added onto the shop or things going on with YouTube that we may need to share. We did a voting one time, so that was fun. Had everybody voting on what they wanted to see on YouTube. We had a couple of projects to pick from. So if you join that email list, that's what you'll be privy to. You'll be privy to things before anybody else is, because I normally would send out the information before even putting it out, or just as soon as I put things out in on the shop or anywhere else on social media. So do sign up for that. You also get a coupon for signing up. Sorry, I didn't want to lose my count. And the link is right on the description. So why do I keep putting my scissors away? I don't know. I'm not done yet. So since I'm having issues with the scissors, because I keep putting them away even though I know I gotta use them again, how about we learn the how to say scissors in Spanish today? That could be our word for today to learn. So scissors in Spanish, okay, get ready, is tijera. Tijera. So tea like you're drinking some tea. Her like you're saying her, not him. And ra. Tijera. All together. So tijera is scissors in Spanish. Hi, welcome, welcome. Oh, no worries, no apologies needed. Glad you're here. Okay, I'm gonna leave it out this time just in case. Alrighty, so we're switching back to our awareness ribbon. And let's see, I'll do a recap on what we've done so far, and I'll turn it around so we can see how we got to where we're at. So we're doing a swag using a paint stick. You can use either a yard stick, I said it right that time, or you can use a the ones that they give away for when you buy paint at the stores. They have the small ones, but they have the 21-inch ones as well, which is what we're using today. And this is what you'll do. I painted mine to match our theme, so mine is pink. A couple of things you can do to attach your stems. You could of course staple them on, or do as I did. I did little holes, or we did little holes with the 1/8 drill bit. So we did 2 at each location that we needed to have the stems at, so that way we can run the stems through those holes and then just twist them on the other side to keep them secure. So that's how we attach our stems to then do our poofs, which is what we're doing today for our easy swag. To make it longer, the wreath form, I'm actually using a paint stick. I'll turn that around here a little bit. I have there's a little bit of a delay on the streaming, so I'm not sure if you heard my explanation or not, Miss Monica. So I will turn that over again and show you. So here we go. So this is a 21-inch paint stick. Instead of those little ones, it's the one that's a little bit longer. They also have the yardstick ones, where it's a little bit longer. So if you want your swag to be longer, you could use one of those. Let's see, where was I? I'm gonna make sure I don't skip any stems, so I'm good doing that. And we're just alternating the ribbons and making sure that hopefully we can read it all. I'll have to look at that to make sure with all the twisting I did. I might have move them. That's one thing with the swags. If they're going to be facing a certain direction, we want to make sure that if there's ribbons that have letters on it, that we'll be able to read them. So okay, back to our pink ribbon. And our streamers, our ribbons, we did cut them out our standard 12-inch. And I'm just zigzagging our ribbons so we can alternate which way they're going, as well as alternating our ribbons. So once we applied our Deco Mesh, we did our tail at the end to make it look appear a little bit longer. Okay, one more looks like. Yay! Doing good. And from here we can attach our sign, and then we're going to do our embellishments. We're going to do that a little bit out of the usual order, if we can say it that way, because there's no, it's not ironing stone as to which way you should go. I like doing it that way because that way we know we're not going to be covering any embellishments, and we can spread them out as we need them, because then the sign is already where it needs to be. Okay, so here it is thus far, and we have our tail here at the bottom. I'm going to lower it a little bit just so we can see our top. So we have our ribbon with the letters all facing in a way that we can read them. Okay, and we have all the mixed colors of the pink, but our Deco Mesh is the light pink, since we have plenty of fuchsia to mix in with our ribbons. Okay, so our sign, we need to make some holes. I don't think I'll need the scissors for a little bit, so yeah, I'm going to put those up. And we're going to need the wire that I use to put the signs on is the 26 gauge, gauge. So in case you need some of that, I use the silver because it's the one that I found that you can see the least. You barely can see it, if you could see it at all. So I just make these little holes using my special pliers here. This Monica, I showed a sign earlier that I made to go with that skeleton wreath we made last week. I'll have to show you that. Just thought it would be nice to put that in the middle. It's just so cute. Using the same colors. Creep It Real. Just thought it would be cute. It's got all the little images that we had on our main ribbon. And then it says Creep It Real because we got to keep it real. But it's Halloween, so we got to change it up a bit. Okay, so for our wire, we don't need much in this case because we're not having to go all the way through like we normally do on a wreath. And we're using a wooden stick instead. So it'll be cut a little bit smaller this time because now we're going to wrap it around the bottom of where our stems are. So we don't need as much. Now you could always cut them longer and then cut off any excess. If you're not too certain of how much you'll need, it's better to just cut off excess than to have it too short and have to cut another piece, which I have definitely done that plenty of times. Okay, and to attach my wire, all I do is go through our little hole that we just made, and I just lift. Let's see if I can do this here. Whoops. I just lift it a little bit, like so, and then I just twist it, just to kind of keep it, and that way I have a longer wire to attach it onto the swag or the wreath. Okay, and I'll lift this here in a little bit just so that you can see it. Maybe the camera will zoom in a little bit once I lift it up. So again, I'm just going to that little hole and putting it through. If you need me to zoom in a little bit more on the camera, let me know, but I will be lifting the swag here shortly so you'll be able to see. And our sign. So I'm just give it a little twist. Okay. And that is pretty much it. We'll just do that on all four. And then we're going to use that wire to go through and attach it to the swag. Okay, so do we need to see any of the ribbons up closer? I know I did that earlier, but if you need to see those ribbons up closer, I can go ahead and lift them up to that top view camera. Just let me know via comment. Okay, so I want to go more or less here in the middle. So I'm going to run our wire to just kind of running it through, since it can go through the Deco Mesh. And then I'm going to wrap it around our stem so we can pull it down some and then run it back through, because we're not going to see it. Having some trouble here. There we go. And then once you know you have it secure enough, you can cut off any excess. And see, I didn't cut much this time, and I still have plenty since we're just attaching it to that stem. I'm just gonna have the extra wire and we can cut that afterwards. And then you position your ribbons as you need to. This is why I mentioned before that you could also leave a space where you know you're gonna want your sign to be, and then attach your sign and then do your ribbons. Couple of different things you can do there. Oh, Good, glad you love it. Okay, do the same thing on the other side. Now I want the sign to be a little bit kind of not completely straight, if that makes sense. I'm gonna kind of cock it, I guess, just a little bit. Just a little. Try to run it through this Deco Mesh and then pull like I did on the other side. Doesn't want to come all the way through. Keeps bending on me. Let's see. There we go. I'm getting there. Just takes a little bit of working if we want it to be nice and secure, right? Wrapping to the other side. I want to make sure that our ribbon doesn't get discombobulated. How's that for a word? Turn it over here. Since I'm doing a wrapping and then putting it through the Deco Mesh, I'm gonna just move it away a little bit while I finish that. So I want to make sure it'll stay nice and secure. Without poking myself like I just did would have been nice. Okay, there we go. And again, just reposition the ribbons however we need to. And then we're still going to have our little embellishments to put on there. So let me show you what those will look like. We have these picks that we're going to be cutting to size, and we're going to stick them on. So that's going to be cute. And in case, when I read the sign earlier, in case you can't see it too well, because I did read it earlier on, it does say I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, which is Philippians 4:13. And I thought it would be very appropriate for breast cancer, because if you know anyone that's been affected by that, they have a fight in their hands. And sometimes with all the stuff they have to do, it just gets so tiring, could get discouraging, and so many different things. So I just really wanted to tie it all together. Okay, I'm going to turn it around a little bit so I can do that other side, and we'll be good to go. And again, you could use the Deco Mesh itself to secure, since the wire can go right through it with the little holes. You can use the stems, since this is with a wooden stick. Gotta do it a little bit differently. You don't want to make it too tight if you're going through the Deco Mesh because you don't want it to pull and then start cutting it. So do keep that in mind. Okay, some of our ribbons are getting, let's see, let's switch these up. Okay, here we go. So there's the sign. Let's see, I want to make sure it gets in focus without too much brightness. You can see some of the ribbons. Now we get to cut our stems. No, uncomfortable here. So we're going to use this one, two stems, and they each have two of the ribbons. We are going to be using 3. I may have to get another stick here. Let's see. I think I have them individualized. Yes, this is the individual. Thought it was the ones that come with 2 on each stick. So we'll be good. We want to use 3. And we'll see how that looks. We might just use 2. So, to attach these, oh yes, just a little bit harder, because at least with the wreath forms, the metal wreath forms, we have the metal that we can go around into to tie it. When it's wood, you can't really go through unless you also make ahead of time, prepare some special holes, which I didn't think of, to run the wire through. So you kind of have to play with all of that. So I am going to cut these with a little bit of spacing because I'm going to be using the chenille stems. And I forgot again to turn on my glue gun ahead of time. So we'll secure it with the chenille stems and then go back and do that. So I'm not sure if it'll heat up in time, and I don't want to make a mess, but we'll see. We'll try it out. So my thought is, of course, to have one right on top. And we're just going to use that stem to help us secure our ribbon just by going around the piece of the stick. And then of course, if our glue gun was ready, then we can definitely glue that together to give it more support there. And then I'm just twisting it. I'm tucking it under. There we go. So there's one. Let's see. I want to kind of zigzag. So I'm going to go to this other side and do the same thing. Okay, just giving it a little twist. And tucking the stems under. It looks like we may be able to use that other one. So I want to go down to the other side as well, down to the bottom. Okay, so I'm just, let's see if you can see that. I'm just going around that stick And then of course doing the glue gun would definitely keep it in place to make it more secure. We're just doing this for now since we don't have the glue gun ready. And then give it a twist. It's good to have options. Okay, tucking it under, and then just reposition your ribbons as needed. Of course, of course. Okay. And go ahead and do this other one. Because we can. I thought I would only use 3, but I do want one at the bottom for to draw attention to our tail. Not that it needs any attention. Now you could also, if you have your glue gun ready, cut the sticks a little bit shorter and then just glue everything on right onto your chenille stems. It'll keep it nice and secure. I'm just doing this now because I didn't have my glue gun ready. I should have turned it on a little bit ago. Because I want to make sure you can see how it's going to look like as a finished product. Okay, just tucking under and repositioning our ribbon. Okay, so here we go. And I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I had this little stream with the thinner ribbon on the back. This is how we're going to actually hang it. We had that other hole that we ran that ribbon through, and that's what we'll use. So I'm going to tie a knot to that now. I think I might actually cut it a little bit shorter, because we don't want to necessarily see it. Not that it will be wrong, because it's a perfect color. Just another shade of pink, which is what we want, different shades of pink. So I'm just tying a knot so I can then turn that little ribbon over. All ready to go. So there is our swag. Nice and easy, simple, doesn't take long at all. Just the preparing, it's a little bit longer, and of course fighting with the sign to go on there, but not bad at all. Quick and easy, didn't take long at all. And with it being this small, or not that it's necessarily that small, let's see, we started with 21 inches. Not counting the tail, we went up to 27 inches. So that's not bad at all. If we do count the tail, it ends up being the same length, a little bit over a yard with the tail. So if you want to save on, go ahead and just turn this off. If you want to save on getting that yardstick, you can use these small ones that they normally give for free when you get some paint. And then just make it look longer. Okay? Let me know if any questions at all. Now with these, while I give you time for any questions or comments, if you haven't seen any of my tutorials before, if you leave your stems on, you could also hang little, the styrofoam balls, they call them vase fillers. You could do that and put them at the end to give a little bit more definition to your swag or your wreath. You can twist them and leave them on excuse me, you can tuck them under, or of course you can clip them off. Just kind of cut them. You could do all sorts of different things. Now I find, especially with the breast cancer, kind of doing the little twist, it's almost like a little butterfly. You know, the little antenna of the butterfly, so I kind of leave that on. But you can definitely add something to the end of the stem. Or again, just tuck them under or cut them. I am definitely glad. I keep seeing that little warning sign that keeps popping up, but at least we have not been disconnected today, so I'm happy. So glad we got to stay on. Thank you. Glad you like it. Just one of those easy projects. All right. Well, we will see you again. Hopefully you will join us next week. Until then, please stay safe. Keep creating. Let's spread the joy with all the beautiful creations we can make. And as always, stay liquid. Or as I would say in the military, adapt and overcome. I'd rather say stay liquid. It's easier. Until next time, everybody, stay safe. Bye-bye.